Hey, I'm Anne. Before joining the method, I was frustrated with food. I had a very bad relationship with food. And after being in the method for a while, I've I've come to feel more connected to myself, connected to the method community, um, and um, and really feel like I just feel like I'm more conscious and aware of my eating habits.
So Anne, before joining the mindful nutrition method, when it came to consistently eating well on a daily basis, what do you feel like was the biggest challenge or frustration, any kind of obstacle or blocked feeling that you were struggling with?
I think two things come to mind. I don't have a ton of support, so I was looking for some kind of program or a nutritionist who would really help me on the journey and be there when I needed some extra advice or just to sort of vent. And I wasn't really, I think what was really a challenge and is still a challenge is my daily routine. My schedule, I was a freelancer for a long time. And so running between many jobs in different boroughs and in, different locations per day, I was often eating on the run and not at the same time. And of course, with COVID, things have been, routines have been thrown out of whack also. So I think that's the biggest thing I've struggled with. And I feel like right now my breakfast routine is really under control. Eric and I really chatted through that. And it's been really going well. I'm very happy with the tips she gave me, and I'm proud of myself trying to maintain it. It seems to be really working.
Mm. I'm so glad, Anne, to hear that you found that community, that support element to your health journey, because we talk about that so much in the method program and how important and crucial it is to not only have that self accountability, but to have your crew, your community who's going to be like your cheerleaders. So I'm so glad that you found that within the actual private community that we offer in the method program. And then you've actually taken that next step, that next level up, and you're seeing an NS coach who's Erica, and you guys are working one-on-one. So I think that's incredible.
Yes.
When you think about your kind of time prior to joining the method and you're thinking about your life then, how long had you been struggling with the challenge of lack of support or hardships with finding the right routine, any other challenges? Like, how long were you experiencing those between finding that balance and that consistency with your eating habits?
I would say on and off my entire life. I do feel like when I have a regular full-time job that's more, steady, that has helped me in the past, and I'm very lucky to have that kind of position again now. And so I think most recently it'd probably been about 5 solid years that I really wasn't. I was just my routine was just really off. So I think quite a while, I guess, is the easier answer.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think too with it's so common, your story and other method members, and I have a history of this too, but it's almost like we've had a long journey. It's hard to pinpoint that time frame. We've had a long journey of whether it's inconsistency or feeling imbalanced in whatever aspect of our health. So yeah, when you think about that, those challenges or overcoming those challenges, how did that make you feel in your life? Like when you were challenged by not having that support or challenged with just finding balanced eating habits, how did that make you feel, like emotionally? Or yeah, if we can open up that can of worms in terms of your emotions
I know.
or feelings
My
in your
emotions
life.
are always right at the tip of the iceberg. That I think is something that the method has helped me with, though. Honestly, as far as connecting emotion and food, obviously that's something we're told, right, for a long time in all the magazines and on TV, is that you're stress eat or eat because you're happy, or there's food involved in every part of our lives. But I think understanding my personal and specific reasons why I would overeat. I have issues with binge eating, and so trying to understand where those emotions came from. It stems from family history, issues of self-confidence and self-worth, for sure. And so I think having the outlet to, and a safe place, like you were saying, you know, there's the community where other members are, and that I need to take more advantage of, honestly. And having Erica, you know, working with her, just having an outlet to say, you know, to think about the week more discreetly too, not thinking about all the all the trauma and, you know, things that have happened throughout my entire life, but to sort of break it down into what happened this week and how did that affect your eating, my eating, I think has been really helpful, because certainly, you know, I had an issue with a paycheck over the past couple of weeks that I could really tune into those moments when I was highly stressed about that and frustrated and angry, and how that translated into what I was eating. Or in some cases, very happily, I could say, okay, I know that these feelings are here, and that's not, I don't have to connect that to eating. You know, yesterday I went for a walk instead, because I was like, you know, my first instinct was like, go grab something to eat. But I thought, no, what's going to be better is if I cool down by taking a long walk. And that had nothing to do with eating, except for that I wasn't.
Mm. Yeah, well, and I think you are such a great example of embodying that skill set that we teach in the program, and you're really living it and embodying it, which is tuning into yourself and starting to have that awareness on a deeper level of, like you said, like honoring, hey, there may be some deep layers there with how my relationship with food is showing up in my life, but I'm also able to understand the present moment and be with the food, be with the emotions, recognize, you know, whatever those maybe emotional triggers are or external triggers like stress that is inevitable in our lives, and you're able to kind of work with it a little bit. It feels a little bit more flexible now as you're saying that. So thank you so much for sharing that story too, because I think that's going to resonate with so many other members as well, or potential members, and having them see themselves in you with your, you know, prior to joining the method.
And the other thing, just to
Yeah,
add one more thing to that, is to
absolutely.
also, I've learned a lot about not beating myself up about it. You know, okay, so if I am stressed or angry and I do, you know, eat something that I didn't intend to, or you know, was not as healthy as I would have liked, it's okay. Like, you know, just let it go. It happened, and move on. And you know, the next thing I eat can be healthier, or I can re-evaluate that emotion.
Yes, you are a pro, because that is that that's like getting out of that whole start and stop cycle of like, oh, I'm doing really perfectly, and then you get off track and then you need to reset. And also even the all or nothing mentality, as if it's like, oh, I did so great right now, and if I, you know, get derailed, then everything is ruined. So I feel like you've done a good job of getting out of both of those mindsets and being really supportive of yourself, of knowing, okay, is this action I'm taking aligned with the wellness vision that I've set for myself? Okay, great, I'm going to do that. And if not, how can I kind of pivot a little bit without beating myself up, so to speak, and being so hard on myself and so self-critical, if you will. So I love that share. Thank you. What on another note too, in terms of prior to starting the method program, what types of things have you tried in the past, and why didn't they work for you?
Okay, that's a good question. I've tried many things. You know, I've tried some of the more commercial diet plans like Weight Watchers. Weight Watchers was actually probably the most successful, just in the fact that I think the accountability of it, like writing down my food, you know, keeping a food journal, basically, it was digital, but I think that was really helpful. I found it too restrictive. So that's why I stopped, because, you know, it sort of helped for a little while, and then I plateaued and I couldn't get out of that plateau. And I thought, okay, well, maybe, you know, I'm not eating enough, which can also, you know, be detrimental, and then I'm not losing weight either that way, and I'm still not satiated. And let's see, I, you know, tried Slim Fast, all kinds of commercial things. And I think in the past when I've been most successful, I mean, my main goal is to lose weight, like a lot of people, but also to generally be healthier, feel healthier. And so the time that I was most successful is really when I was, thinking more deeply about the food I was eating and incorporating more vegetables and fruit, more natural um, food sources, and exercise, just really regularly exercising it. And I think that's another thing that has come out of the method. Instead of feeling again like I have to spend an hour and a half every day exercising, it doesn't have to be that huge. I think for me it has to be consistent. And so if that means it's a shorter amount of time, but I can do it 4 or 5 days a week as opposed to like 2 hours once a week, that's been really beneficial too. So I think that combination of just being more present, like you were mentioning, and um, thinking about the eating vegetables and fruits, like I was saying, that's really helped. Just being more mindful. And I do keep the five, the foundational five in my mind a lot. And I think that's been really useful, because that to me that's what creates the whole meal. And that's what's really worked about my breakfast. When Eric and I were discussing what to do, what to eat in the morning that would really fuel me and satiate me, and that I wouldn't feel like I needed snacks, or if I needed a snack, it would be a smaller, healthier snack. That we really worked on those foundational five and had each component. And it just completely works because I feel really satisfied. It's delicious. And I don't really think about food again until lunchtime.
Mm. I love that. From going to trying all the things, which again, like you are not alone. I've tried so many things as well, but from trying all of those things. And I love that you also, understood what worked well for you. So for example, like in some plans or trends or diets, I should say, the accountability aspect really worked for you. And so you kept that. And you also knew like, hey, and anything that I do with my life or the tools that I use for my health, I want that to be part of it, which I think is so great. And then at the same time, you let go of the things that just did not serve you or didn't align with your wellness vision. So things that made you feel restricted or that you had to follow it to a T, or took away the joy and the enjoyment and the pleasure of food and the experience and that flexibility. So I think it's so great to see that transformation of what you were experiencing before, and then also learning some things in the method and having that completely transformed too. What do you think has been, if you have more than one, that's incredible, please share. But if you have one of your biggest learning experiences in the method that really shifted your eating habits and also your relationship with food, what was that?
Um, I think the most useful thing is feeling like I don't have to be restrictive, because I had said to Erica in our first session, I don't want to have to count calories. That's it was useful at one time to keep, like I said, was saying, to keep a food journal and like pinpoint where I could improve, but I don't want to do that forever. I want to just be able to build, to understand food better, to understand the components that make up food, that make us feel good and healthy and satisfied. And so I think just like the foundational five has been really helpful because it's a simple way to think about it, and I don't have to count calories. I'm just thinking about, my protein and my simple carb, my complex carb, the fat, the flavor factor. That's it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the flavor factor is doubles as something else. So I think just being able to like yesterday I had a turkey BLT, and my fat was mayo, but it was also the flavor factor. I didn't need anything else, and that was very satisfying. So I think just shifting my thinking from, to really think about the calories to thinking about how food works together to keep us full.
Mm. I think that is such a great shift in perspective change as well, of really honoring the fact that food plays a deeper role in nourishing yourself versus just kind of following those restrictive patterns of like, oh, I have to get this many calories or points or what have you, and really figuring out what works for you, how to make it easy. And it still provides a little bit of a framework. So yeah, it sounds like the foundational five has really worked so well for you. And then also that support and accountability, and also the check-in tools. Has there been any, out of like all the mindful mindset tools we teach you in the method, has there been one that's really supported you with your relationship with food?
I mean, I guess, let's see, mindset tool. I mean, I guess like I was saying before, the just not being so hard on myself. If something does go awry, you know, we all have so many things that have hurt us in our lives that it's too bad that we hurt ourselves sometimes too, you know, by feeling like we have to punish ourselves if, oh, I ate a slice of cake today, you know, or I had that milkshake. It's like, that's okay. You can have a milkshake sometimes, you know, that's not a bad thing. And even you can have a milkshake sometimes if you're having a bad day, and that's going to make you feel better. But I think being conscious of that, maybe that's really it. Like the mindset. I think what's really shifted is that I'm just more conscious of what I'm doing, more present when I'm cooking. You know, I have been cooking more since I've been with the method, and getting a farm box as opposed to going to the regular grocery store. So I get a lot of fresh veg and other really wonderful things in there. And so I think that the shift of also, like you were saying, like enjoying the process too. That's food. It's not certainly it nourishes us, but I am someone who likes to cook and experiment, and that's been really fun too, to just sort of have that freedom. I think that's what maybe the big takeaway. I have freedom and consciousness about it now.
I love that. That is such a beautiful way of saying that too, that connection to food and having that more awareness with your food choices and how it makes you feel too.
Mm-hmm.
How would you say that, how do you feel now that you have the skills that you gained in the mindful nutrition method that you use on a daily basis?
I feel better. I feel more connected not only to you and Erica and the other members. I think it's wonderful to have that community, but I feel more connected to myself. I also practice yoga. I was teaching yoga. The COVID has changed things, but I practice yoga every day, which is a way of very connecting internally too. But I think again, celebrating food and perusing recipes and just getting all the kitchen tools out has been really beneficial. And actually one thing I really loved in the method is when you talk about how to organize your kitchen and
Yeah.
Things have to be very, to make changes sometimes it just has to be easier. And so even just changing where my pans are, or I have all my vegetables displayed on the table as opposed to sort of shoved in a bag or in the fridge or wherever. So they're there. So I'm much more likely to come and grab, a pear if it's in front of me. So
That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I love those little tidbits. And then I guess my one other question is, if you could think of yourself many months ago before hitting, yes, I'm committing to myself and I really want to take care of myself in this way by joining the method. If you think back to that moment, and there also may be somebody else who's hesitant to join, how would you put their mind at ease, and what would you say to them?
I think it's always worthwhile if something speaks to you to try it, if you can. the reason I discovered Nutrition Stripped and the method is because I was in anthropology one day and I found your book and it was just really beautiful. And then it was actually a year or two later that it occurred to me that maybe you had Instagram, or, there was another way to follow you. So I think, I found it by happenstance. So if someone maybe is finding this by happenstance, maybe there's a message in that. Things do happen for a reason, I think. And I think this can be really helpful because it's affordable. It's a very personalized approach to nutrition, and I feel like a person when I'm speaking to Erica and to you right now. I'm not just another name on a scrolling list on my smartphone. There's something very human about it and practical. And so I think that anyone who is considering it and maybe is hesitant, just try it out. I think even just starting by looking at the Instagram or browsing the Nutrition Stripped website was really helpful. There are lots of recipes that are so helpful, and I love to spread the wealth too. I've mentioned this to many friends. I'm like, please, this and a yoga teacher I like. I'm like, this, if you want just a little help, then I think that's it. I think just if you're looking for help, then this is a very supportive and warm environment to try and shift your own self-worth and self-awareness.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Anne. I so appreciate you, and like I said, taking the time to do this. I want to be mindful of your time as well, and also just sharing your story. I know it might be a little awkward. I don't know how much video stuff you do, but you did a great job. And I just am so grateful for you and being vulnerable and open with sharing like your health journey and your story and those emotions that you felt, because again, I know there are so many people out there who are like Anne, right? Like who are like you and who want that support and who could see themselves in you and be like inspired by that and motivated by that and showing like, oh wow, I felt like that too. And now look at Anne, she's living and breathing and embodying this way that I want to feel. So I thank you so much for hopping on a call with me and letting me record this.
It's been fun to chat with you. I see you building your house and your posts that are really useful. So it's just nice to chat with you as well. And I thank you for asking me to do it. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anne.